Hello, everyone. You are about to hear a brief retelling of the movie The Blind Side. The tape is based on real events. Tony Hamilton came to a Christian school to negotiate the enrollment of his son. He also put in a good word about Big Michael, a homeless guy who sometimes sleeps over. Coach Cotton was impressed with Michael's data, but the principal on the contrary doesn't know what to make of a guy with an IQ of 80 and a grade point average of about 0. They don't even know how old he is. Seeing the resistance from the teachers' council, the coach reminded them that they are a Christian school and they should help all children. Big Michael, wearing drab sneakers and shabby clothes, came to his new school for the first time. Ms. Boswell handed out test sheets to test the students' knowledge, and Michael didn't even try to answer a single question, only drew a ship. Tony's wife is hitting on the man for the fact that Michael constantly sleeps over and eats all the food. She doesn't intend to put up with it anymore. Lee and Tuohy moved to a high school volleyball game to join her family in supporting her daughter Collins. Her husband Sean noticed a burly dark-skinned guy picking up the leftover popcorn undereaten by spectators after the game. A month passed, and Michael never completed a single task. On the playground, little S.J. Tuohy met him and told him about his father, a former basketball star. Lee and then first noticed a big, humble guy for the first time. The principal spoke to him. Recently, the newspapers wrote about a homeless big man who fell off a wall and crashed to death. It turned out that it was Michael's father. The young man himself can't even remember the last time he saw him. Michael went to the laundromat to wash the only spare t-shirt and opened the textbook that Mrs. Boswell gave him. And by taking the next test, he had already earned a satisfactory grade. Mrs. Boswell was sure they were stupid, just that this student needed a special approach. When the Tuohy family was returning home from school that evening, they saw Michael standing in his usual clothes in the downpour. The guy was on his way to the school gym because it was warm, but it was already closed, and the woman realized that the poor guy had nowhere to sleep, so she put him in the car and brought him to her house. Collins was surprised to see the big guy on the doorstep. Michael was in such a large, luxurious house for the first time. Before going to bed, the couple wondered if they had done the right thing, if he would steal from them. When Leanne came downstairs in the morning, she saw that the linens were neatly folded, but Michael was gone. Leanne managed to stop him at the last minute and suggested that they celebrate Thanksgiving with them. While everyone was watching the Super Bowl, Leanne cooked a bunch of goodies, piled the food on a plate, and went back to watching the soccer game, and only Michael stashed a bun in his pocket and sat down at the dining room table. Leanne thought about it, turned off the TVs, and chased the family to eat at the table as well. Everyone held hands to say a prayer. Big Michael was new to all this. The next day, Leanne took Michael to the store to buy some new clothes, because a t-shirt and a bag is hard to call a full closet. But according to Michael's statement that he has clothes, they came to the ghetto. The neighborhood where Michael grew up and where his mom lives. That's where he still has some things left. The big guy insisted that his companion stay in the car. The authority figure greeted Michael, but he himself only said hello to one guy, David, probably his brother. On the door of his house, Michael found an eviction notice. Where his mother is now is unknown. The saddened guy got back in the car and lied that his mom had just moved out. Then the couple stopped by the local big and tall clothing store. The assortment was not so good, so Lee and let Michael choose what he liked. Turns out the guy loves brightly colored striped clothes. The woman is thinking of arranging Michael's bedroom with suitable furniture because the big guy has already broken their sofa for $10,000. The school has conducted an aptitude test. The results showed that Michael's ability to learn is only 5%, but in the protective instinct category, he has as much as 98%. Leanne presented Michael with his new room. The boy is very grateful because he has never even had his own bed. To hide her tears, a heartbroken Leanne shut herself in another room. Today is a special day. The family will celebrate in an expensive restaurant the fact that Michael's grades have improved and now he can participate in the soccer qualifiers. The guy recognized one of the restaurant employees and gave him a big hug. Marcus, this is his brother, but Michael does not even know where he lives. The last time he saw him was when he was very young. Today, The 17-year-old was reading a bedtime story for the first time in his life. Leand admits that by taking Michael and she has made not only his life happier, but her own as well. The next Christmas, the Tuohy family made a holiday photo card, already with a new member of the family. But some relatives had questions. Leand's rich friends call Michael King Kong and write off her good deeds on white guilt, and also wondered whether her daughter feels safe being under the same roof with a big dark-skinned guy. Leand shames her friends and leaves them. She finds out that at school, Michael is also being talked about in a number of nasty ways. Over time, Colin's attitude toward the good-natured giant improved. In the library, she ostentatiously left her friends and moved to Michael's desk. Michael came to his first soccer practice, but there is one problem: he knows nothing about the sport and does everything wrong. Balls flying into the sky are more interesting to him than the game. Unlike other children from foster families who are on the field to vent their anger, Michael is a good-natured respecter who will not hurt a fly. SJ personally took over the training. Everyone in the Tuohy family is an athlete, so in order not to disappoint them, Michael began to train hard. One evening he turned to Leand to help him get a driver's license. Not that he wanted to drive a car, he just wanted to have at least one document with his last name. Turns out there's no record of a man like Michael O'Hare in the system. It's probably not even his last name. That's when Leand thought about becoming the young man's guardian. The social service said that when Michael was 7 years old, he was separated from his mother and other children, and they are at least 12 drug addicts. Michael is in the custody of the state, so her consent for custody is not even required, but Leand thought it would be wrong and decided to meet Michael's mom. The woman cried when she found out that the selfless guest had taken full care of her son. Proctor is Michael's last name. But then she admitted that she said it at random and just couldn't remember who his father was, and her son's real last name is Williams. During the family meeting, Sean asked Michael if he was okay with him and his wife becoming his guardians. To which the guy asked in surprise, "Aren't they already family?" Michael finally gets his driver's license and a pickup truck as a gift. SJ teaches Michael the tactics of the game with the help of condiment jars. The boy threw away from his mom for Michael to take him to the store to buy a new video game. The friends were having fun, and the rookie driver was often distracted from the road, and therefore did not notice the outbound truck they crashed into. A distraught Michael sits on the curb. SJ only had a busted lip. A policeman explains to Leand that children should not sit in the front seat. The pillow flies out at such a speed that it breaks the children's facial bones, but somehow SJ is almost unhurt, and it's all because Michael managed to put his arm out and block the pillow. SJ is filming Michael's workouts on camera to pick apart his mistakes later. So far, the big guy's not doing much. The coach can't get his players to understand what he's trying to accomplish. Then Leand intervened and told her son that the team is his family and he should protect the players, just like he protected the kid from the pillow, and it was as if Michael was replaced. He started throwing one player after another onto the turf. It was time to test Michael's skills in a game against another high school team. The opponents immediately began to call the big guy names, the same does an old redneck who sat not far from the Tuohy family. Unfortunately, Michael cannot do anything with a quick rival boor, who turned out to be the son of a harmful old man. He manages to escape from our hero time after time. Leand again tries to influence the game and even calls the coach on his cell phone. The woman's nerves gave out and she sent the old man racist. When Michael was on the ground, number 66 kicked him in the helmet, but the ref ignored the infraction. Then the coach said he would defend the kid like his son. Michael remembered Leand's words about the team being his family, and he got up and took down number 66, dragging the asshole across the field until it was over. He had to go home. It was the turning point in the game. Michael successfully blocked his opponent's time after time, and his team won by a resounding score. SJ recorded the best moment of the match on a disc and sent them all over America, teams from different colleges. Absolutely all the coaches were absolutely thrilled with the ability of the unstoppable thug. They all traveled to the school to watch the Unicum play live. The man in the yellow cap came from the College of Tennessee. and Lee and hates their team, so she immediately made it clear to Cotton that he should turn him down. Michael was put up against another player and he blew him away without even noticing. The coaches immediately grabbed their phones. It seemed Michael had a great athletic future ahead of him, but it turned out that his grade point average to get into college had to be at least 2.5, and for that to happen he had to pass all his remaining assignments with a grade of at least a B, so the decision was made to hire a tutor. Miss Sue assures the student that she will definitely help him, will help the main thing to believe in himself. The coach of one of the colleges visited Tuohy. He was met by the whole family. They did not know then that they would have to receive such guests every day, and everyone would try to lure the promising athlete to his college. Constant meetings tire Michael, and he still needs to study hard. The season was over and Michael led his team to the championship among private schools. Leanne dreams that Michael will enter the college show miss, so she told the coach how to placate the guy. However, the schoolboy is inclined to choose Tennessee, which the woman hates with all her soul, so she instigated revenge to collect Michael that under the soccer fields in Tennessee FBI keep decomposing bodies. This influenced the impressionable guy and he chose Mississippi. At the graduation, Leanne informed her husband that Michael had gotten the necessary 2.5 points and now he could safely enter the chosen college, but there was one more test waiting for him. The guy called for a conversation, an employee of the sports student organization. The thing is that after signing a contract with Michael got a job at Miss Coach Bert Cotton, and also his guardian Sean played basketball there, and Coach Bert Cotton was a cheerleader, and even Miss Sue studied in this college. In fact, his guardians are recruiters, which means that's what other recruiters might start doing as well, namely becoming guardians of underprivileged athletes and forcing them to enroll at their universities. Everything they did for Tuohy, it was just to get him to enroll at Vol Miss and play for their soccer team. The woman planted this thought in Michael's head and he ran away upset. The young man no longer trusts Leanne. That day, Michael never came home, and Leanne wondered if she was pushing him too hard, thinking first of her own desires. Big Michael had come to the ghetto to meet his mom. An authority figure had lured him to the brothel. Supposedly his mother should come here for a dose. His brother David dropped out of school and joined a gang. Gopnik started making dirty jokes about Leanne and her daughter. Michael was about to leave, but the authorities threatened him with a gun. However, the big man was not afraid. He scattered the bandits around, punching them in the face and breaking furniture against them. Michael remembered how he was taken away from his family when he was 7 years old. He doesn't want that kind of life anymore. Leanne came to the neighborhood to see if Michael was here. Authority figures began threatening her and her adopted son. But Republic Leanne is a member of the shooting association and always carries a gun in her purses. So some goon can't intimidate her. Michael called Lee and his mom and asked her to pick him up from the laundromat. Only now the woman asked if Michael even wanted to play soccer, and also if he liked Tennessee he could choose that particular college. It was his decision. But Michael chose Almas because his whole family went there and he wants to be close to them. Miss Sue will continue to help him with his studies. The main thing is that the guy should not be too distracted by female students. Leanne cried again and hid in the car, but Michael asked her to come out and hugged her tightly. Leanne once read an article about a 21-year-old boy, a talented athlete, who grew up without parents and was killed in a gang fight. Then she was once again convinced that she had done everything right, because in the place of that guy could be her son Michael. Michael O'Hare became Mrs. Best Player and, thanks to Miss Sue's support, earned a degree. After graduating from college, Michael began a professional career as a soccer player.